From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your afternoon update.
You want to go where to buy a new refrigerator? Steve's A to Z Appliance in Cottonwood? In Cottonwood? Just a 10-minute drive. And they'll save us money. New and used, honest, reliable, factory-trained repair service and parts, and they'll save us money. And dispose of this thing? We gotta make the short drive to Steve's A to Z. Thanks, hon.
Steve's A to Z Appliance, front and main streets in Cottonwood. Drive a little, save a lot.
We'll certainly see some thunderstorm activity east of the valley here in the mid to late morning hours here. That activity will be progressing northward throughout the rest of the afternoon. That will include chances for thunderstorms making their way into Modoc County. We'll take a closer look at that here in a second, but the cooling trend, that starts today. You probably already noticed it for the first half of the day. You'll notice again this afternoon. Chances for showers returns today. We're seeing that, of course, in the form of thunderstorms east of the valley, but even some showers north and west of the valley as well. Chance for isolated thunderstorms, of course, we're already seeing that this morning. Could see that again tomorrow afternoon, including the potential for the valley, but I think most of it will be in the mountains. Again, a closer look at that later. And then, of course, dry and near normal highs as we take it through the next week. Once we get through the weekend, things should improve. All right, let's take a look at your neighborhood at a glance. I think the eastern mountains has the best chance for thunderstorms here. We're already seeing it here this morning, and not to mention through the afternoon. That's also the case in Modoc County. I think we'll see that activity. However, places like Siskiyou County, slight chance, especially in the eastern Siskiyou County. And then the north coast, you're not going to see much rain today. Most of it's going to be to the west, but if you see a stray sprinkle or a light shower at times, not out of the question. Trinity County, North Trinity County, I think you've got the best chance for showers, maybe some thunderstorms. And in the valley, especially around Corning northward, Corning, Red Bluff, Redding, maybe a chance for showers. But at this point, it doesn't look like it is going to be a lot. All right, let's take a look at that temperature trend. And you can again see that big dip in the temperatures over the weekend before we climb right back up closer to normal as we go into Monday through a good portion of next week. Someone had asked, well, you showed the temperature trend for the valley. What about the coast? Well, the reason I don't typically show the temperature trend for the coast, I just want to show you, for example, why. It's pretty much just a flat line, right? Yes, it may be a little bit warmer toward the end of next week, but it's not going to be anything all that noticeable. So we don't see those temperature spreads. The reason I show you these trends is to show you, and I don't show them every day, I'll show you that you got a big dip in the temperatures and a big increase. And that's what we're seeing in the valley, and not to mention even the mountains, but not necessarily the case for the coast. So I showed you that here for the coast, just to give you an example of, yeah, we're not going to see any of those big temperature spreads. So there is the area of low pressure right here. You see how it's been kind of moving this way, right? But now what's happening is, and this was what I was expecting, it's kind of moving in this direction, and then it's starting to kind of move this way. So it's going to move this way, then eventually up and through. It'll stay to our south, but as it moves closer to us, our chances for rain increase. All right, so let's take a look at the path of this. So again, it moves down to the south later on this evening and to tonight. Okay, then by Saturday, you see how it slowly pushes eastward. Now we're seeing that heavier rainfall come in, especially for the first half of the day on Saturday. Then on Sunday, it pushes more to the south, but we're getting that wraparound moisture, especially for Sunday morning. As we go into Sunday evening, Sunday night, things really start to dry out, and then that pushes off to the east by Monday, and we've got drier conditions. And in fact, we've got dry conditions for Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way through the end of next week. Now, this particular forecast model is keeping this colder air, which is kind of right here, in place through the end of next week. However, the European forecast model has a much larger ridge of high pressure in place by the end of next week, which would mean warmer temperatures. So the temperatures that you see in the 7-day forecast, they will most likely change as we start getting closer toward the end of next week. Now, you may remember if you watched this morning, I gave a comparison between two different forecast models for our short range. I'm going to do that again here. And this one only goes out through tonight and into early tomorrow morning, but I just wanted to illustrate the differences between the two. Okay, so here we are today at noon. This is actually doing a pretty good job showing where we're seeing most of the thunderstorms here around the noon hour. That's essentially where we're seeing most of it. Not exact location, but it's a generally good idea of what we're dealing with here. This actually is not doing the best job. This should be a little bit more to the east and getting closer to the valley. So it should be kind of filling in this general area where we're seeing the bulk of that activity. But for the most part, most of the rain is off the coast, so not on the coast itself, and dry conditions there, and then dry down to the south as well. Now, as we progress through time, let's take it to 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is a pretty good representation, should probably be closer to the valley and maybe even over the valley, but you're seeing this line here. We're seeing more activity. So the thunderstorms we're seeing now, or at least around the noon hour, off to the east, is going to be moving its way northward. So Modoc County, eastern Siskiyou County could see some thunderstorms here by the mid-afternoon hours. We take you into the late afternoon hours, that dissipates and it's drying out. Now this line here, pretty good for northern Trinity County and western Siskiyou County, but we could see some of that making its way into places like Redding, Red Bluff, maybe Corning, and even into Mount Shasta. So this area right here could be looking at the potential for some showers, but this one wants to keep it mainly off to the west. All right, now I'm going to take you into Friday 8 p.m. See how we still have that activity to the west. Maybe a little bit of rain trying to come into the coast, not out of the question. And then by tonight, it really starts to fill in by 2 a.m. on Saturday. Now, as we continue into the early morning hours on Saturday, that'll start to kind of fill in for the valley and even east of that as well. So let's take a look at Futurecast, our in-house model. All right, doing a pretty good job. Almost the same as the HRR, the one we just looked at. You see a little bit closer to the valley. I agree with that a little bit better. This one may be a little too far to the east with the thunderstorms, but you get the idea. That's where we're seeing the bulk of the activity, right here and off to the east, and dry for the coast. Okay, now we're going to take you into the 2 o'clock hour. I think we could be looking at some light showers around Red Bluff, Redding, maybe even Corning, and not to mention north around Mount Shasta. But again, you can see we're just kind of filling in this area here as well. There are those thunderstorms in Modoc County, and that could make its way into eastern Siskiyou County as well. In the meantime, there may be a stray shower or a sprinkle making its way to the coast, but nothing significant. The main band of rain is here off to the west of us. Now we're going to take you into Friday, today at 5 p.m. Once again, maybe parts of the valley northward into central Siskiyou County and western Siskiyou County. Still dry to the east, still mainly dry for the coast as well. Then by tonight, okay, we're beginning to fill up, especially to the west of the valley. We're seeing that flow come in. So as that area of low pressure continues to move this way, watch what happens. We begin to see more and more rain making its way into the area. So by tomorrow morning, the valley, east of the valley, west of the valley in particular, we're seeing that rain, but not much making its way into the northeast. Now, I want you to take note of what we're seeing right here. We're seeing the rain, but we're not seeing any clearing. So mainly just in the form of rain. With some clearing though to the north and east, we may eventually start to see thunderstorms develop here to the north and east of the valley in this area right here. So that's where we have the best potential for what we call convective thunderstorms. Daytime heating, it rises into the colder air aloft, destabilizes the atmosphere, and we see thunderstorms. Most likely just in the form of showers for the valley, and not to mention off to the west as well. Here we are, Saturday 5 p.m., bulk of the activity. You can clearly see the rotation around that low, by the way, but it's beginning to break apart. Scattered showers, maybe some thunderstorms in the north and east. There you can see, then we go into Sunday morning, 5 a.m. Most of it's to the north. I haven't talked about snow a whole lot at this point, but snow levels tomorrow, 4,500 to 5,500 feet. I think the lowest will be tomorrow night into early Sunday morning, where we could see it as low as 3,500 feet and upwards of around 4,500 feet, probably rising through the day on Sunday. But this is when I think we'll see some of the worst travel conditions here in the early morning hours on Sunday. Keep a close eye on those road conditions if you do need to travel Sunday morning. Okay, then we take you around the noon hour. Most of it's to the north and east. We see it push southward, maybe some showers for the valley, and then of course it starts to kind of dry out by the second half of the day on Sunday, and not to mention going into Monday. All right, so your forecast rain totals, I think on average for the valley, about 1/2 of an inch to maybe upwards of 3/4 of an inch of rainfall, a bit more for the coast and some of the higher elevations. I think it's overdoing it a bit for some areas or for snow. For example, Dunsmuir, I don't think you're going to see snow. I don't think you'll see snow in Etna, but maybe a mix overdoing it with 1 to 2 in Mount Shasta City, but I think you could maybe see some light snow. Not to mention Upper Shingletown, Chester, Quincy, Susanville, Alturas, you all could see some light snow, but most of that snow will be in the higher elevations. So as you can see here, I-5 looks okay, but Highway 89, there might be some issues. Your typical spots east of I-5, yes, the higher mountain passes, there will most likely be chain requirements. Highway 299 west, I think you'll be okay, but there could be some minor some delays due to chain requirements on Highway 36 west of I-5 and not to mention east of I-5 as well. I do need to mention the winds because it will be more of a nuisance wind over the next several days off and on, especially in the midday and afternoon hours. The morning hours look like the winds are fairly calm, but then they pick up through the afternoon. Not the type of wind that's going to give us power outages or anything like that, but it'll just be that wind that you'll notice that's just, again, that nuisance wind. You're like annoyed by it more than anything else. All right, so for today, see the lightning strikes? Yes. I think for places like Chester, Lassen Park, Susanville, Fall River Mills, Bernie, Ayden, Alturas, all of these areas could see thunderstorms. But Quincy, Portola, most likely not seeing thunderstorms for the rest of the day today. And again, maybe places like Tennant, Tule Lake, and Doris could see an isolated thunderstorm, but west of that, mainly in the form of showers, should we see any of that rain for the rest of the afternoon. Let's take a look at your 7-day outlook, and we'll start off by taking a look at the valley. We've got more showers on Saturday, but I don't expect any thunderstorms. I think showers for the second half of the day on Sunday, and then it dries out for next week, averaging out somewhere in the low 70s for those daytime highs, and much cooler for the weekend. Here's your 7-day outlook for the coast. Again, you got that chance, nothing significant. Better chance for rain on Saturday, maybe some showers on Sunday, and then of course it dries out as we take you through next week. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for Mount Shasta, Alturas, and Susanville. There, of course, you can see that chance for thunderstorms this afternoon and evening for Alturas and Susanville. Otherwise, showers, snow levels dropping to as low as 3,500 feet at times. And then we start to see things dry out and warm up, especially as we go through next week.